Welcome friends, I welcome you to my YouTube channel and this is Shivashish Sen. In today's video we are going to talk about the ways of becoming rich. And rich is something which makes you always happy. Rich is something which makes you always ecstatic. Uh, but as we go on to talk about this issue, we would first try to identify the areas or the parameters which actually prevents us from becoming rich. The problem starts with the mentality. The problem starts with the mindset. Mostly the Indian parents are very conscious about the education of their child. They put their child in different schools, and the schools are sometimes very well run, sometimes they're very well managed schools. But unfortunately for us, these schools will never teach you about money. These schools will never talk about financial liberation. These schools will never talk about the financial independence. You know, this is not very surprising because the people who are teaching the courses in school, the people who are completing the curriculum in schools, executing the exams in schools, they are not very rich. They may be very rich academically, but financially they are not that much rich. So the problem starts with a mindset. If you talk about money in school, you are regarded as something, probably a tabooed person. You are regarded as something, you have done a massive crime, as if by the time you complete your education from school, and then you go on to complete your courses in college, and eventually you end up completing your courses in university level, and you will understand that the first and the primary thing that you need to look out, even though you complete your courses from school, college, and university, the first thing, the foremost thing that your parents, that your relatives, that your neighbors, that your loved and near ones would probably want you to do would be the thing called job. They would ask you to search for a job, and this is the parameter which actually prevents you from becoming rich. Remember, jobs are something, uh, the jobs are something, it is almost like a contract. You have sold your time to your employer. Your employer is actually entitled to get your time uh, in exchange of money. Remember, this is a very crucial factor. You are not supposed to make errors in your job. You should be very meticulous. If you commit errors and blunders, you will be penalized. You will be forced to repeat your actions. So these are all monotonous, things. You go on to perform your duties time and again, day in and day out, in a rigorous manner, and eventually at the end of the month, what you end up getting is called your salary. But we Indians are very proactive about getting our salary. And salary, we consider that salary is something which is very safe and secure, which will make us financially secure and a very sound status. But actually, ironically, this is not the scenario. Remember, by selling your most vital and important time to your employer, you can never be financially free. You can never be financially rich, because the salary that is credited in your savings account or your salary account by the end of the month is something which can cater to your desires, which can definitely address your financial needs of your month. But definitely this is something which will not give you the opportunity of becoming very rich. So what you need to do in this regard, remember, to begin with, I would definitely advise you to go for a job, because in order to become extremely rich, you need to have some resources, and this resource is called your emergency fund, because this is a kind of journey which you will have to begin, and which you will have to initiate, and you don't know the ending of this journey. You don't know the outcome of this process. So first I would ask you to put your heads down and try to look out for a job that will give you a decent salary, and work into this atmosphere for 1 2 3 years, and then try to put a corpus for yourself. And this is your financial resource. This is your resource which will help you in the process of becoming financial uh, you know uh, uh, financially free, or rather this will help you to becoming this will help you for becoming a very rich person. Firstly, what we do in job is the fact that we put a percentage of our salary into our PF accounts, into a provident fund account, and this provident fund will probably fetch you 7.9% interest rates, and these interest rates are not that much high. Definitely, they will have a compounding effect on your total corpus, but I mean, in a very long period of time, this corpus can be very massive one as well. But remember, by this means you can never be a millionaire, you can never be a crorepati in Indian circumstances, because it's very difficult for a salaried individual that they become rich. So what do you need to do is the fact that you are not supposed to sell your time to someone. Time is something which you have got as a to yourself, and you are not going to live in this world for eternal times. Remember, you are going to live in this world for a certain duration, and if you sell this finite time to somebody in exchange of money, you can never end up probably becoming very rich. So the first and the primary thing which the rich person would definitely do is the thing called entrepreneurship. You first try to seek a business opportunity, an opportunity which would actually turn your fortunes into a gigantic one, the opportunity which will give you a lot of money. You can start off your business. You can start an entrepreneurship journey, and in this journey, the resources that you have kept for yourself by working in that job for the last 3 to 4 years would actually give you an opportunity of a kind of buffer which will help you in the process of becoming a true and a valued entrepreneur. Remember, we put in our money while we are in job. We put in our money in our PF accounts. Some of the learned few put their money in equity market. They put their money in share market, in shares, in stocks, bonds, ETF, mutual funds. These are all financial assets. Remember, these financial assets are not true, not worth that they actually are projected as. Remember, these financial assets are all known as a paper assets. So this is something which you can produce mechanically by printing something on a piece of paper. So these are not very true assets. So what you can do is that if you put a chunk of your salary into your financial assets, that means you are basically trusting upon your financial assets to become to fetch a multi-bagger return for you. And at times there are persons who have earned lots of money, who have actually become billionaires from this Indian equity market, but that does not actually mean that you can also be a person like this. So financial assets are, as I have already been talking about, these are all fake assets. Remember, this can be printed, this can be manipulated. Remember, there's something called an operator in share market. Those who work in share market, those who work in equity market, they would very easily recognize the term called operator. There are companies of different sorts in Indian equity market. There are companies of A-grade companies like TCS, like Infosys, like Reliance Industries, like HDFC Bank, your ICICI Bank, your Axis Bank. So these are very elite franchises. But remember, even the shares of these companies can go up and down in a massive swing. So at most of the times, what we have seen is that the retail investors, those who put little bit of money into the share markets, probably 2 3 4 5 lakhs rupees into Indian share markets, they eventually end up losing their capital, and that is a very vital thing. Remember, there's a share called Yes Bank in list, which is listed in BSE and NSE in both the exchanges, and it used to trade at 400 rupees. And at the time when it used to trade at 400 rupees, market used to give it a very decent valuation. Everybody has been talking about this share. Had you purchased that Yes Bank? 3 years back, in today's time you are a massive loser. The share has turned down to 30, 35. So it's very difficult for this share to get back to 400 in just 1 or 2 years. So remember, so what you have actually learned from such examples is the fact that if you don't put your money in a very uh, you know correct pocket, in a very correct and a decent pocket, there is always a chance of losing your capital. So remember, once you lose your capital, it's the end of the journey for you. So putting money in share market is definitely risky, but that can definitely give you a very good and a very and an exceptional kind of return. There are investors in Indian society who have become billionaires from this share market. But remember, this is not the cup of tea that everyone can enjoy. This would be given to a blessed few. So what we need to do, we can earn money either from an entrepreneurship or from a business. You can start a business of your own. Remember, once your business turns profitable, you try to emulate that same system of business into different models. That is, you run a factory, you run a setup which turns profitable by the time by the time it completes 2 3 4 years, it turns profitable. You try to remodel the same setup once again in a new location, so your profit can very easily skyrocket. So this is something which you should aim for. So don't put your money into your financial assets, because these financial assets are manipulated. This is There is something called operator. An operator can put the price of a share or drag the price of a share high and low, irrespective of the position that you have taken in it. So it can give you massive loss as well. If you don't have a loss bearing capacity, you should be away from the share market. You should start an entrepreneurship or a business. And the second thing that you should look for becoming rich is a thing called real estate. Real estate is something which will always remain in our Indian society. Indian population is going up by leaps and bounds. So the opportunity for housing market will always exist. So this is something which you cannot print on a piece of paper. This is something for which you need the land, the physical land. Without the physical land, you cannot have an apartment, you cannot have a house, you cannot have the building. So the demand for living would always exist. The demand for space would always exist. So if you can procure some land, this would be a mammoth, life-turning opportunity for yourself. So remember, put your money in real estate. But remember, you should not be buying real estate or properties at any cost, means at any price. You should always be very, very respectful to the price that you pay for the property, because remember, your property should eventually give you a positive cash flow to your balance sheet. You put a percentage of your property, percentage of the value of the property as a down payment, and then the rest of the amount is taken as a loan, home loan. And what you ultimately do is the fact that you put that property into rent. For rent, you get the rent out of that, and you try to judge whether the rent that you get from that property is decent enough to surpass the cost that you are paying to the bank. That is, the EMI to the bank should actually be less than the rent that you actually get from that property. So that will be very, very good advice. That will be very, very decent investment. So the third thing that you should try to remember is the fact that don't sell your time to others. Selling time to others is something which will always prevent you from becoming rich. Number three, put some of your money in gold. In gold or in silver. These are metals that are known as king's money. These are metals which will always exist even when we have left this world. If you talk about Indian banking system, you will find out that in the last few years, in the last 5 years, the interest rates has actually gone down drastically. It has come to a very nominal level of banks virtually provide 5, 6, 7% for a fixed deposit, and that is nothing as compared to the inflation rate that exists in our country. So virtually, savers are the losers. So you put your money either in entrepreneurship, or you put a chunk of your money in gold and a silver that will hedge you from any kind of economic crisis that the country may witness. And massive investment should be